What are your thoughts on Wall Street Bets, and what was the New York Stock Exchange floor like when the whole GameStop thing was happening? I'm sure because there is like a Citadel booth in there.
Absolutely.
Like,
No,
what,
they are market makers, and they were the stock that traded the GameStop.
and they were the ones suffering. They were the ones that all the people.
They suffered and they benefited and they suffered. And I don't want to get too much into name calling because I work with them every day. But yeah, that was a little bit of a wall that got crossed there because Citadel was the one that is the market maker for GameStop. And then there was Melvin Capital and then all the short stuff and whatnot. Wall Street Bets, look, I actually know the guy who was the first Wall Street Bet guy, Jamie Rogozinski,
we had him on the podcast.
Your dad, Jamie's a genius and he's a sweetheart and he's a good guy. He ended up getting ousted by his own rats, right? I just spoke to him a couple of weeks ago, actually, and he's wonderful. There's nothing better than to say about there's some smart people out there, and a lot of them are willing to share their smarts, right? Like Jamie. Jamie's amazing that way. You know what? It was a wild and crazy time on Wall Street. That day, GameStop stopped trading 29 times. Okay. We felt it was an attack on us. We felt that it compromised the integrity of the floor. But, at the end of the day, I mean, look, I don't like to shoulda, woulda, coulda, bitch and holler about stuff like that. At the end of the day, the game was made. And if somebody's able to figure out a way to mess with it, you know what, until we find out that it's really fugazi, then, it's going to have to happen. What ended up, look, it was a fascinating phenomenon. That happened then. Now, what I'd love to talk about is the recent resurgence of Roaring Kitty.
Yes.
Right? So Roaring Kitty, in my opinion, was a bad guy. The guy obviously came along. He had a good streak. He made a bunch of money, right? But what ended up happening with him, and what I really am angry about recently, is that what he's doing now, what he did by coming out and saying, I'm long 1 billion shares of this, and he got everybody to buy GameStop to $67 after the close of market business that day. And you have to realize when you have a platform, you need to know who's following you, and you need to know the effect of your words on them. I'm not going to have a platform and say shit that's going to make some kid jump out a fucking window. Excuse my language. Yeah. More people lost money that day because he went out there and touted that stuff, right? That's irresponsible. In fact, in my opinion, it should be completely illegal. You need to know that people are following you and they're going to follow you to the end of the earth because you said, what was the mindset behind that? When he went out and he said, I'm coming back. I'm in GameStop and I own $1 billion worth of that stock. What is the retail, amateur, irresponsible, first-time newbie trader thinking? Well, he's never going to let it go down because he has $1 billion. He doesn't want to lose money. So everybody ran into the stock. The next day it went down to 20 again, right? And everybody lost money but him. He may have lost money, but we don't know what he's really doing. I mean, look, you can hide behind the mask of social media in so many different ways,
Yeah, my understanding was that he didn't sell, and they're trying to get him for market manipulation. But he's trying to say his whole live stream, I thought, was a genius play from his perspective to show that he's not pumping the stock, because when he went live, the stock went down. And so that's his argument of saying, look, I don't have a positive impact on this. I went live and it went down, and here's proof that I'm not manipulating the stocks. I see the perspective. Personally, I do tend to side with it being closer to market manipulation because he's posting about such big positions. But then you get to the point of, where do you draw the line of if let's just say Jack's uncle goes and posts on Facebook saying, I bought $1 million of this stock, it's going to have zero effect, versus if someone else with a large following says the same thing, it will. And where do you draw that line of at a certain follower count, a view count? What if Jack's uncle posts, has zero following, but that post for whatever reason just goes viral? Now, all of a sudden, is he liable for something he said that happened to go viral by chance? It's such a weird...
I agree with you. It's a fine line.
And then also personal responsibility. If someone is following Roaring Kitty and, then it's gambling at that point.
I agree with you 100%. Everyone is responsible for their own hitting of buttons. So, look, if you're going to get into bed and do that kind of stuff, then you're on your own in a way. I felt that what he did was market manipulation. I think his live stream was a bit of a psychotic rant, and the guy doesn't, in my opinion, look particularly stable, but I'm not a doctor. But at the end of the day, I felt that was irresponsible in so many different ways, and we don't really know what's going on in the backdrop. He may have had somebody selling it. He may not even be long all that stuff. I mean, how do we know what's really going on, right, at the end of the day? So, you know what? Look, at the time, I thought it was fascinating what happened. The fact that you can use social media to corral the troops, to take a stock that is bankrupt and take it from 2 to 483 and back to 3. Fascinating. For me, as a trader and somebody who is an educator and is trying to get people, you have no idea how many thousands of people have come to us, me and David Green, and said, I'm still long Rivian at $98. I'm still long GameStop at $480. I analyze these meme stocks. I know that a majority of the volume is at the highest price, and most people have gotten caught long these things at a higher price. And as to your point, everyone's responsible for hitting their own button. But at the end of the day, my job is to try and level the playing field and educate people about what really goes on and how to make some money and do the best they can. And so, yes, at the end of the day, it's everybody's responsibility if you do that. But look, we saw some guy jump out a window who was trading Robinhood, if you remember. Yeah. Some kid come in. Look, so social media is a two-sided coin. It can be really good. It's a matter of what you do with your platform, and it can be a dangerous space too. You know, one needs to have personal responsibility for what you do. And if you're a notable person on social media, you should have some responsibility on what you're saying.